that when we get over to England. And you know what us Irish are like, we like to meet people and we like to say how are you in the morning and get up and if you have to give them a cuddle, give them a cuddle. Great. We're Irish, we're different, yeah? Fantastic. A bit like the Scots, a bit like the Northern Ireland John's from, so she's Irish. She's Irish. So, from that, I want you also to think a little bit, a little task I have for you to start. I left home when I was 18. I'm from Donegal, if you don't know any. No Donegal people here. We get all the jobs in Ireland. We get all the teaching jobs. You guys got nothing. We've still got the in with whoever it is. But anyway, I'm surprised at that actually. I thought there might be a few people, because I know the people down there and a lot of them are still struggling to get their jobs and so on. But anyway, but I left when I was 18 years old. What is that equivalent to now? Maybe a kid of 16, 17 leaving who's a little bit more mature. When I left when I was 18 years old, people remember me probably for save, but if you work your way back from that, almost 30 years, and then work forward to where I am now, you pick that moment and say, well, what happened to me along that pathway? So, when I had that dream of going away to play professional football. I'd love to have done it in Donegal. Wow, I was playing professional football staying at home. I had a twin brother, Dennis, and 5 sisters who looked after and spoiled us. So suddenly I was going away from Donegal into a city. And we didn't have telephones, we didn't have travel in the bus and do all those things that maybe is not the norm now. The world has become such a small place. But I definitely remembered anxiety of going away. In fact, before I went away, I was so sick. And I was a healthy young man, I was fit, but I was sick. And it wasn't down to that I ate something, it was anxiety, going away, leaving things. And you will be going through this little bit of anxiety. Now, what I want you to do is talk to your friend beside you. Go and join in and talk to this lovely lady here. Look, you've already shook her hand, have you? Yeah. And write down all the things that you think is going to be really positive about this. Really positive. List them down, talk about it, put them down. Get a bit of paper, split it down. I want you to have a spare bit of paper so that you're going to write your date on it, you're going to write your name on it, and you're going to put it somewhere nice and safe. And in 10 years' time, you come back to it, wow, remember this day, and remember the things I wrote down, and now think about your journey. Write down, talk to your friend, do it in groups, yeah? And write down, first and foremost, a smiley face, all the things that's going to be really positive for this. Yeah? Discussion about it. Yeah?
As always, I probably should have
You don't mind fighting.
You've listed down the positive. By the way, come on, you come up here for a second. Cork man. Here's something really positive. Show them them feet. Look. Did you see these feet before? These are his shoes. He did 2 marathons in these shoes. Wow, I think everybody could. Were you allowed that in the classroom over in England?
Absolutely not.
No. Must check them shoes out, by the way, this today. There you are. Fantastic shoes. My toes are not one. Big, long ones. Fantastic. Anyway, okay, positive. Fantastic. I think there's loads of positives. And when I look back in my career and I think about the positives that I didn't really quite know about before I went away, and I was saying, wow. Okay, now I'm sure you come here today. There is a I hear you all chatting and all that. There's a nervousness about it, and there's a nervous chat that you go into for the first time. You went over to England, you went into a room, you went into the school, there's a new smell, like many times you walk, and then after 2 days that you don't even, new people, there's something new about it. There's an anxiety maybe there, there might be a wee bit. Let's list down, not the negatives as such, but things that you're thinking about. It could be some personal things, it could be emotions, but there also could be things, information that John will give you, you're not sure about. But list as many things down there as possible. talk again about it and see what you're thinking. Okay, what's in your head? What's in your head? Anybody want to share any of those things on this side here? Or maybe somebody might want to share what they think could be a really positive. Doesn't anybody want to be brave now and expose themselves to the group? No, in a different way, you know. Okay, so you can stand up and say, what do you think? Anybody? Yeah, go on. Shout it out so everybody hears you.
We say like, a positive feeling would be making new friends.
Making new friends. Always that. Making new friends. That's fantastic when you make new friends with different people. And, you know, when I travel the world and different places and you network, you'll always have your true friends. You'll always know ones that maybe, I call them the A circle, you know, the A friends, category A, and there's a few people trying to get into the category A. I'm not letting them there. They have to do special things to get in there, you know. But then there's the category B and so on. But they all have to. And it's fantastic meeting new people along the way, and it opens up your mind. Fantastic, yeah? Good. Anybody else want to add to that? Yeah, please.
New sense of independence.
Self. Get away from mum and dad. Yes, independent and having to take on responsibility for yourself at times, you know. And I have a daughter, 23, by the way, just graduated also. She started a new job and she's still living at home. I'm trying to get rid of her and she won't go because she's spoiled. Like her mum and dad and everybody looks after her, but we're gradually getting there. And suddenly you do have to take on it. You don't have somebody that, well, we have the course. Look at what we have here. He's there to help you. I didn't have that. I definitely didn't have that. Better not going looking over there. But he didn't realise all the things I have to do. So that's a great one. Anybody else wants to say? Yeah? Positive. Anything else positive would be really good now.
Ireland will still be here.
Ireland will still be here. Never goes away. It never goes away. Now you can fly Ryanair. Wow, I had to get the boat. It took me 4 days. No, that was America. Yeah? Ireland's always been absolutely. And it's so close now, social networking and Twitter and Facebook. And you're right, Kathy was saying, I'm not on Facebook and Twitter. My daughter's trying to get me up to it, but I'm slowly probably have to go there. But it's such a close place now, sometimes too close at times. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, Ireland's always there. Good. Come on, this group, look at this group that's beating you over here.
I suppose it gives us the experience that we need to get jobs here, because a lot of us are at the stage that we have to go because we can't get something.
Yeah.
And it's the all needed experience so that ultimately leads home again.
Yeah. That experience is a massive thing. And you know, even your local experience, you've got your national experience, you've got your international experience, and you're putting it all together as a fundamental part of your life. How you move on it when you think about it. I will talk about it in a second. Good experience.
There's a good support network in existing, like between you teach and you were saying there's so many Irish people working in schools that you're going to have a kind of a support network there already. For me, there's a friend of mine who actually did it with me, and she's teaching in South End where I'm moving to. So it's just that kind of almost like a safety net. To know that you can tap into previous experience and knowledge, and it's a help.
It's a help. It isn't. I'm talking to some of you around the room. Some of the teachers who live in the school. Yeah, 50 Irish in the school. You're working. Unbelievable. You're taking over the world. Wow, it's incredible. They're all over the world, those guys. So positive. Okay, there's many things. What about this side here? What are you thinking? Anybody?
Fear of the unknown, just not knowing what to expect.
There's always the fear of the unknown. There's always that. You're never sure. Coming even into this room, is there a feel, where am I going? What room do I go to? Who am I going to meet? And what are they going to say to me? And who else am I going to meet? And there's that. That's a personal thing. And sometimes you have to go through that. You can't avoid it. It's how you deal with it. Yeah, so that's it. That's an obvious one. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody in the back here offer something to the group? The curriculum, yeah. That would be an obvious one, and John will deal with that and talk to you. Mightn't give you all the information, but we'll give you a lot that will help you. Curriculum, something new, something different. Something new and different is good, because then you can come back to Ireland and share it. Help you. Anything else? What about the back road here? There's always the back road's always full no matter where you go to. Look, the front row is never full. The back of the bus is always full. And they're the ones you have to watch. Yeah, the boy who goes in the back. Anything?
I suppose it's missing friends and family.
I
Going over on your own.
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest things of us Irish people. Not everybody, but I think most of us. I went away when I was 18 and a twin brother. Imagine there's a poem. There's a poem I learned in school with Robert Frost, "The Road Not Taken." Did you ever do that? I did it in school. I did it with a fantastic teacher, and I still was dead. And a lovely lady died. She died of stomach cancer. She looked me into that poem. She just took me through it in a different way than just reading the poem. And I didn't experience that as a twin brother, leaving to go down that little spirit. Where does he go? What did he do? What did I do? It's hard to turn back. And that time I was a big boy because we didn't have a telephone or a phone. I would phone every day. I'm 53 years old. Or then it was letters and so on. So you take that road, and it's an exciting road, but also there is challenges, there is fears, and you take each stage as it comes. So it's an interesting thing. So for me, it always stuck in my mind and I use it. The road not taken. Sometimes. Anything else? Does anybody else want to share anything? No. Okay. That question, that's a big question. Anybody in here do personal profiling, do person college? Did you do all that stuff? No. Well, I didn't do it either, but I did it later. I did it later in my life. I did it later. I went back to university, and one of the university courses that went on was sort of corporate leadership and stuff. And right away, going into this thing, you know. And I was trying to figure out my own self and who I am and what I am. And then suddenly, I'm an introvert. Any introverts in here? Or do you know you're an introvert? Shy. Don't want to talk, ask a question. Wow, don't come to me, please. Extrovert? You're all extroverts, eh? Wow, no, you don't know. You really actually don't know. You go through the process. I'm an introvert, but the definition of introvert for me is this. I can play in front of 60,000 people. I can't speak to you guys, parents. I can speak in front of 500 people. I am go to a boardroom and I learn how to do it. I prepare myself how to do it. The preparation is absolutely key to this type of person. And if I don't prepare myself, anxiety takes over, fear, and then I sort of go into it. But as I do it, and as the older I get, the more often I can do it, but my energy levels go down. Do you know where I'm going today? I'm going to Dunbar. I'm going to have to walk the beach on my own for 4 miles when there's nobody there, because I want to re-energize myself, get my energy back up so I can go back and do this while we're catching again. And the older I get, the more experience I get, the more I can handle it, the less time I have to put it in. In the middle of the World Cup and the European Championships, Jack gave us a couple of days off. The lads went to the pub. Yeah, as you do. Where did I have to go? Back home, Donegal, to prepare myself to take on this big task. Does that make sense? Maybe you're thinking about it in your own context. The extrovert can go to Donegal, spend a week there, walk on the beaches, so his energy levels or her energy levels go down. You've got to get back into the action. They've got to get to the nightclub, like this man here with the shoes on. They've got to get in and talk to people, and their energy's going back up, and so on. And that's who I am. The other thing I found out about myself was that I was very judgmental. I make my mind up about you very quickly. That's a weakness. That's something that I have to step back and say, God, if I keep doing that, I'm making big mistakes, especially in my capacity as a coach educator or in education or with students. Yeah. So that's my personality. So I have to work at it, my weaknesses and strengths. So I'm just touching on it. Do you know yourself? And if you know yourself, How is other people judging you? You step in there for the first time, how are they going to judge you? They're looking at you, they're seeing your actions and so on. In this communication and sort of development that you go through, you just have to, without bogging yourself down a little bit, you just got to think about it as you go into new culture and so on. And these new cultures, of course, Ireland's opened up incredibly over the years compared to when we were young. We were talking about last night, we won't go into it. My name, Packy, how can you can't call it anybody Packy anymore? It was a West of Ireland name. My uncle was Packy, so I'm Packy. And then I've got to go to Scotland and meet all these people from Pakistan. And wow, how do I handle that? I changed my name to Paponer. Simple. But then come back to Packy. So think about that. Just a little bit in your mind. Culture defines who we are. I'm from the country, not the town or not the city. I'm a little bit different. That's who I am. I was brought up by my parents. I was influenced and all. But look, it's liberty. You've got to open up yourself to other people. Accept them. Who are they? What are they? Learn from them. Meet new people. Who said that? Meet new people. Somebody said it. Yeah. Wow, what a fantastic thing about them. What's their culture and so on. And you can take that. So fantastic. So this was a very good friend of mine in Scotland who's been working in Bush education and so on with his student. That was one of his statements. I loved it. We were discussing it. So think about the cultures. We all go through this development pathway. I talked about where I was in 1990 and what happened beforehand. Who influenced me? What was the influencers? I didn't know, but I know now. Who were the leaders? Who were the people? Who made me? Who prepared me to go on to the next stage? What did I do? Somebody talked about challenges. Wow, challenges. You have a fantastic challenge to go. You want to go because it's a job. You want to make money, or whatever it is. You want to go because you want to meet new people. You want to go and experience new life. But it's a challenge. And there is going to be other challenges. And you have to meet them. These people will help you. They will help you. The challenges, wow. You can sit back and say, no. The introvert, yeah, where is she at the back? The introvert will go and say, no, please don't ask me. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to take that challenge on. Yeah. That's not easy. And sometimes out of that challenge comes opportunities. Massive opportunities. Great opportunities. Learning a new life. New education. New ways of doing things. Personality. You go back in 6 months' time and your parents say, wow. And I know as a parent, changing my daughter since she went full time to her work is incredible. Just her whole personality, she's more confident, she's able to talk to you, she's able to, yeah, fantastic. But opportunity. So there's opportunities there for you. Financial opportunities, meeting new boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. Maybe. No, that won't happen to me. Of course it'll happen to you. I met a wife in Glasgow. Wow. 2 sons and now a grandchild. Wow, opportunities. Some things we'll have to let go. It was here, and it's a spiral. It doesn't happen in a straight line. We might spend quite a long time here before you move on. Some of you have been 2 or 3 years maybe in this spiral at the moment. Yeah. Now you're letting go of something. You've made the decision. You've taken on the challenge, and there will be opportunities for you. And as you progress up there, and that spiral is different for everybody. Intermingling with other people and so on. Many things. My father, me, and my son. No, it's not right. Same behaviours we learn. You have to find your own way. And you will. You're shaped in a way. You're shaped in a way. People have influenced you. You will find your own way now. And that slightly will change. You might not walk this way, you might walk a different way. Then you create yourself. You create you as a person. And that little note that you've written down, you can write other wee things on it now that maybe you're thinking about. You're sitting there thinking, write them down today. And you go back in the bus or back in the train or back whenever it is, or go for a coffee, write them, wow. And put a date on them and look back in 10 years' time about what you were thinking today and what you've learned and so on and so forth. Keep your diary. I'll do diaries. This is an experience you're going to go through. John talked to you. And now you're starting to set targets and goals for you. I had a dream. My dream was to play for Celtic. Not so much Ireland at that point. Play football. But what was it? I should have broke that down. And I also had a situation when I got into the Celtic team and I went into the Irish team. I used a 6-week block from game to game. I played Holland. Maybe it didn't go so well, maybe it went well, but I went back and used the next game in 6 weeks' time as a stepping stone to prepare myself for that game. And I used the league itself in games and training to prepare. So that's planning and go. I didn't really think about it, but it happened. I don't know what's at university or college or school. I don't know anybody at my school when I was a kid learned me how to plan. It was kind of away you go and do it. But I think now you think a hell of a lot more about it. What's your targets? What are you setting out for you? Is it to make money? Is it to make new friends? What is it? Set out a couple of goals for yourself. Try and put those targets over the next, whatever, how long is it? 3 years? How long are you going for first? A year?
A year initially, yeah.
That's a year. Lovely, lovely set time. And think, what am I going to achieve? And then reflect on it. Reflection for me is the biggest part of learning. Sitting down in a big chair, whether it's after a game, after a course, getting your mum or your dad or your girlfriend or yourself, sit down in the chair and reflect on what you're doing. Maybe take a little bit of time out, because you're going into a bit of a, probably school's just starting now, eh? Yeah, so you'll be into it. Okay. Guys, for me, I'm leaving you there to pass you on to John. I want to say the best of luck on your journey. I'll be interested in how it goes if we get feedback from Kathleen. I'll be also meeting over the next year a lot of new prospective clients that's going to sign up to UTeach. And whether I'll talk this way to them, I don't know. You guys have made the decision. But certainly I wish you the best of luck and over in England. It was good for me, it'll be good for you. Thank you.
Old enough to remember the save and 1988 European Championships and 1990 World Cup for any of you if you do know anything of it. I walked down O'Connell Street last night to dinner with Packie Bonner and I thought to myself, this is absolutely surreal. It was an absolutely surreal moment, but it was becoming a teacher over in England that actually led me to this point. And you know, Packie already has talked about opportunities and taking those opportunities as part of the development, and you really do not know where that path is going to lead. When I put my picture on Facebook last night around the table with Packie Bonner, you know, it was a pinnacle moment for me, I have to say, but you just do not know. I actually moved over for a year 15 years ago. I went over to do my PGCE in Goldsmiths in London, and I promised my mum I was going for 12 months and promised I'd be back to work in Ireland. You have as well, I'm guessing, yeah? And 15 years later, here I am still in London, based in London, although I work in Harlow. And I know three of you here are going to be joining our school and one of the primary schools that we've worked in. I'm the associate head of the school, and we also have an executive head. I'll talk you through the structure of the school system there. And I know you probably have many questions, and I'll maybe just touch on some of them. Please feel free to interrupt me We love acronyms in the English education system. Absolutely love them. And I'm going to begin with one talking about your NQT year. If there's anything that I use that you think, what on earth are you talking about, please just say, can you just explain that? But hopefully we'll cover those as we go through today. The first part of the session we'll hopefully finish at about 11:30 and give you time for a break. We'll try and make the day as interactive as possible, which you'll probably hate. We get the kids to do some really strange things, and then as adults when we sit there, we prefer to just sit and listen sometimes. But I think it breaks up the day if we're just a bit more proactive. But hopefully, you've probably come along and heard so many horror stories about teaching in English in England and the English education system. And I suppose today is just about demystifying some of that, just to try and break down some of those fears and some of those anxieties that you have. And just to start off by talking about your NQT year. So when you start with this, I'm sure most of you at that point have just haven't qualified, you'll be considered a newly qualified teacher. And I just want to play you this clip, and I hope these all work, because for me I think this sums up a little bit about what it is to be an NQT. So you'll start off in September. You'll be absolutely enthused. You'll be passionate, remembering about why you got into teaching. Getting your lessons planned, your resources. I'm going to try these different things. What am I going to do next? And somebody will say to you, no, we don't do it like that here. And you might begin to be a bit disillusioned. And my advice is, in your NQT year, keep the goal in mind. Remember what it is. Remember why you got into teaching. Yeah? Keep that passion. Those things that Patty has already asked you to reflect on. My advice is keep it there. Because it will be a tough year. There is absolutely no doubt. But there will be so much support in all of the schools that you go to. Yeah? That really will help you through some of those difficulties in that year. And hopefully keep that passion alive in you for young people and making sure that you get the best out of the young people that you work with. So, basically then what we're going to be looking at for the rest of the day then is we'll look at the structure of the school, which can be a little bit different, I have to say, in England to here. Talk about the role of support staff. I suppose the most important things are the classroom demographics, the actual kids. I mean, they are the reason why we get into teaching. So we'll be talking about the different makeup of the classrooms that you will find yourselves in and what you need to do to plan for that. Resources that will be available to you in English schools that may be similar or different to schools here at home. The school year and a typical school day. So again, very much information about that. One of the key things that I know new teachers do, find themselves obsessing about is behaviour management. But really, if you get all of the other things, the preparation, the planning that Patty's already talked about, if that's in place, sometimes the behaviour can look after itself if you really plan for your different groups of kids in your lessons. Safeguarding, there are legal requirements, legal things that we have to be very clear about when we're working with young people as well. So we'll talk about that. And this notion of key stages from, key stage 1, 2, right up to some of you who'll be working with key stage 5 if you're teaching A-levels over there. Schemes of work, lesson plans, we'll look a little bit about how you go about planning a lesson, what you need to consider, and what does a good lesson plan look like. You probably won't have to write a lesson plan for every lesson. For example, in our school, we get teachers to write one lesson plan every week. And that's given to myself and the executive head, and we sit down, but we give it to other people to do now, but we actually sat down, and I used to spend a weekend looking at 35, 40 lesson plans and giving feedback to that member of staff, because it's really important. If you get a member of staff to do something, like a child, if you get a child to do a piece of homework, or get them to do a piece of work in a lesson, and you don't mark it, what's the point in them doing that work? So our philosophy in Burnt Mill, in my school, and I'm sure many of the schools you're working with, if you get a member of staff to do something, give them feedback, because you're never going to learn or progress if you're not getting that feedback from them. It took a lot of work, but it paid off. We're reaping the benefits now. We'll talk about assessment, differentiation, which is key, and ICT in the classroom. So the skill structure, this will vary depending on anybody working in an academy, anybody going over to an academy. Yeah. So this is the sort of school that I work in, and the structure's changing. I suppose the old style would be the head teacher and the principal, but now very often you'll work with executive heads. In your academy, it will probably be linked to a number of other schools, like my school is. And we've got an executive head who's responsible for 4 or 5 schools in the local area, and then we've got associate head teachers who are responsible for individual schools, always answerable to the executive head. So the executive head will be essentially your boss, always, but the associate head will take some responsibility for him or her for your development. I suppose as an NQT, as a newly qualified teacher, you will have someone on the SLT, see what I mean about acronyms already, on the senior leadership team. You'll have someone on the team who will be dedicated to supporting the NQTs, and they will be most likely responsible for teaching and learning across the school, and NQTs will be their sole responsibility. So, in my previous school, for example, as I was an assistant head, and I was responsible for developing NQTs, and you will be part of a program throughout the whole year, and we will get CPD every single week, support and ideas and advice on how to develop, and that will be from a member of the senior leadership team, probably a deputy head teacher or an assistant head. And then, so for example, you've got a management team as well, so you've got heads of year. They weren't in existence when I was in school here in Ireland. Do you have heads of year or form tutors and things like that? Yeah, so you have a head of year who is responsible for a whole year group of students, and that's responsible for their pastoral care. And you then will have a role as a form tutor, and I'm sure you already know that you've got form groups. I'm looking at the Burnt Mill people. I hope you know you've got form groups. You've got form groups. But I'm sure you all will be responsible for a form group, but you'll have a head of year who will support you in terms of putting the pastoral support in place for those students as well. Heads of year, heads of house, your head of faculty in terms of your teaching and learning will probably be the most important person for you throughout your first couple of years. You might have a head of faculty or a head of department or a head of subject. And they'll be responsible for giving you the schemes of work so that you can then develop them, supporting you with lesson planning. They'll observe, and I'll talk a little bit about observations and judging lessons in a bit. But they will observe, and that will be very much to help and guide you through that NQT program. I'm not sure, Kevin, if you mentioned that next year all newly qualified teachers will be registered in the schools.
I haven't mentioned yet.
Do you mind if I...
Please do.
Yeah, so in the past, as a newly qualified teacher from Ireland, you could come over and you didn't have to go through the probationary year. But as of September, most schools have now decided that it's best to actually register you with the local authority, so that you'll go through the formal training, the formal probationary year, which at the end of it will qualify you, give you QTS to teach in England, but also in Ireland as well. So it means if you do decide to come home after 12 months or 15 years, you'll be qualified to actually teach in Ireland, and nobody can take that away. So that's something that we're starting to do, and I know that many schools are starting to register you
Can I
as
just
well.
mention
Yeah,
on
please.
this? I know that so like previously, as you know, you used to have to do it 2 or 3 years ago. You had to do a full year in your in your probation, and then you cut it down that you only needed to do 300 hours. So now you're doing 300 hours plus workshops. Yeah, so you'll be familiar with that. Yeah. You don't need to do the workshops now. So we've got like a dispensation from the Teaching Council in Ireland, which is stating that as long as you're going, you do your full year's induction or the full year probation in a school in England. And all you have to have is this, at the end of the year, the head teacher will mark it off as being that you had a successful year, that you were teaching the proper subjects, if you like, and if you've got that signed off by the school and by the county, then you don't need to do the workshops. So you either come over to the UK and you do 300 hours, then you have to go back to Ireland to do the workshops, or you come and you do your full year's probation. Okay? Any questions on that? Yeah.
Actually, I was just in contact with the NIPT there last week, and they've set up now weekends, so they put on 2 workshops on the weekend.
Which is
that all right to continue to do that?
Yes, absolutely. You can still, if you would rather do the workshops, then that's fine. But it just means having to go, there and back. But the schools will anyway. When you're offered an NQT year within a school, you grab it with both hands, because within that one, you're actually getting fabulous training. You're getting fantastic mentoring. And I mean, it's just because any teacher in England, as soon as they qualify, they must do the NQT year. So the schools are equipped for that. You're given so much support on the lesson planning, and John will go through everything else with it. So it is sometimes a wee bit more work, but it's so worth it for your first year. Yeah, but yeah, you can still do the workshops, but just to guarantee you. And also in the primary, I know the primary works differently again, and you have to do the full year. But again, we've got that dispensation. We'll send the email from the General Teaching Council with all the forms that you need to fill in, so you know that you're getting the full year's full induction. And then, so as soon as you clear the induction in the UK, it means you get full registration in Ireland. All right? Any questions on it? Yeah?
Do you have to do the workshops when you qualify?
No. If you've gone through your NQT year in the UK, you don't need to do the workshops. If you only decide to do the 300 hours, or if you don't want to go through the NQT program, you do need to do the workshops.
Can I also say, most schools will put you through, we have always put new teachers through the NQT program anywhere. So they followed the exact same program. It's just they never went through the assessments. So, I'd be very surprised if any school wasn't going to let you almost go through that program, because it's good for us, because it means then that you're getting the proper training and support. But it's also, it's a win-win, because it's great for you as well, because it gives you that option then of whether you decide to stay in the English system, or whether you want to use that and come back home and carry on teaching in Ireland. Okay? Right. I know I've talked in some of the interviews with you about support staff. This was one of the things that I found very difficult as a newly qualified teacher, was having another adult in the room all the time. It took me a while to overcome that, actually. It was almost a little bit of overcome that fear or embarrassment. But actually, the support staff, I think, in England are quite different to your SNAs here. As I understand it, your SNAs here will work with a particular child, whereas actually the support staff in England are there to support you, the teacher. And they're there to support you in terms of developing resources. They are there to support specific children who might have a statement. That's a statement of educational need, if you're aware of that. And that child is entitled to so many hours of support by the support staff. Although that can vary in many ways. But you will generally have another member of staff in your lessons for the majority of the time. Nowadays, we have moved more to appointing graduates, so that they can see what it's like to be in a classroom, and hopefully then we can move them onto a teacher training program. But you will have the traditional teaching assistants, but their role essentially is to support you, the teacher, in the classroom, in a variety of ways. So for example, they may walk around the classroom and actually mark the pupils' work and give some feedback while you're teaching a particular part of the lesson. You might instruct them to take a small group of children who have a particular need. It might be a literacy issue or a numeracy issue, and you might instruct them to take that group of children out of the classroom into another area where they can work with. So long as the child is with another adult, it's absolutely fine for you to do with that. So those are the LSAs, teaching assistants, or co-educators, are some of the names that they're called. You then have technicians in every faculty. So, for example, D&T, you will have a designated technician in your area who will be responsible for making sure that the resources and materials are available for you to go there and teach. Very much in England, it's about teaching. That the unions got together 10, 15 years ago and made sure that all of these admin tasks were taken off the teacher, so the teacher was freed up to simply plan, teach, and mark. And those are your three key roles, essentially: plan, teach, and mark are the three key things that you'll be involved in. And then these other support staff are there to make sure that you're actually freed up to do that. So you'll have technicians, science, for example, that they'll be responsible for setting up your lab, making sure that they're resourced for different materials you need for experiments, etc., and photocopying, all of those sorts of things your technician will be responsible for. And generally, they're under the leadership of your head faculty, but you, in discussion with your head faculty, will then send or direct your technicians for what you need. And then you have a whole range of administration staff. So, for example, I'm, as a teacher, I'm not required. I used to be, when I started teaching as a form tutor, one of my tutees wasn't in the lesson. I had to follow up. I had to ring home and find out why he or she wasn't in school. I'm now no longer required to do that as a teacher. That's not seen as one of my roles. So there's a range of people in schools who will do these sorts of jobs for you, ranging from your finance officer, personnel reception staff who will do all of those phone calls, community development officers who will work and help develop community links. Reprographics, again, you're not required to do your photocopying. Sometimes it's easier if you do, but there are a range of people in schools to actually support so that you can get on with the business of planning, teaching and marking. And I'll say that again, those are the three key things in the English education system that are required of you. Alright, so I've mentioned this classroom demographics as the most important, and it really is key to success. And it's about knowing your groups, knowing who is in your classroom is key to success in the English education system. Generally, there are three broad bands of learners, and depending on whether you go into a school that's set, you might have top, middle, and lower sets. You might have mixed ability, for example. So if you're a historian, for example, very often I'm a historian, we end up teaching a mixed ability sets, where all three levels of learners are in the same class, and we've got to plan for that. You will have EAL learners, so lots of students in your lesson whose English is an additional language, and you're going to have to find ways of planning. We'll look at some of the things that some teachers in my school have done to plan for that in a moment. I'm responsible for in the school for numbers and getting pupils into the school, and every time I get an application from a student who's moved into the country from another country, my immediate response is yes, I want them, because they're generally more motivated. They're generally more motivated because of their experience with education in another country. So, we've got lots of students who come in from India, from around Asia, from different African countries, and their attitude to education is much of a much higher standard very often. So they're like sponges. Once they overcome the language barrier, they really do become your higher level learners. So never underestimate them, is what I would say about EAL learners. When I moved to my school, all our EAL students ended up in the bottom sets. And one of the first things I did was move them into the top sets, because once they mastered the language, they become your top achievers. But it's about planning and preparing for that. Generally, you'll have a class size of about 25, 30, which is probably similar. But if you teach in a core subject, which is English, Maths and Science, the core curriculum, what we try and do, because, all of I don't know if you're aware of Michael Gove. No? You will, believe me. Believe me. But what we try and do, because he sets the targets for every school in England and Wales, based on what the levels that pupils arrive with. So we get targets, and they're based on their English, Maths and Science results. So what we try and do is we try and appoint more English, Maths and Science teachers to make those group sizes smaller. So very often if you're a Maths, I'm looking at Sarah, thinking about our Maths department who, I go in and I joke sometimes with about 5 kids in some of the lessons. Sometimes there's more adults than kids in the room. But because of the emphasis on English, Maths and Science, you'll find those are smaller group sizes. And also just, the multicultural awareness of the environment that you're in. Planning as well. You'll probably do some studies. The English education system was very much a white curriculum for a white people. And that's not the demographic that it serves. So you'll do an awful lot about making sure that your curriculum and what you teach meets the needs of people from different communities. It might be, just even displays around the room of different cultures can just be very key and a very important way to include the different groups of people. In our area, we have, and like in Ireland actually, there's quite a big Polish community. So we make sure that in some of our lessons, key words and things like that are translated into Polish. We make sure that we are appointing and new support staff, remember support staff, we appoint from the Polish community, because who better to sit and work with individual groups of EAL learners from Poland than a Polish adult to help develop the language for them. And so it's just about making sure that you are planned and prepared for them. And I just want to show you this little clip. It's amazing what you find on YouTube when you do things like this. But I thought this was lovely. This is about how you engage those different groups. And this is, I'll talk about it after you. Isn't it amazing? And it's about you thinking about how you engage those different groups of students that you work with your curriculum. Because you remember, you're passionate about the subject that you're going to deliver. And it's about making your different groups of people, a different demographic in your class, making them passionate about your subject as well. Remember, they're going to be going off studying 12, 13 different subjects. If you're in, sorry, I'm talking secondary, and I'm aware that there's some primary here as well. But it's, regardless, it's about making those different groups of learners passionate about their subjects so they make progress. And just by subtle changes, you can change their behaviour and their attitude, but you can have a massive impact on their progress and what they do in your lessons. So it's about rethinking what you do with them, essentially to achieve those learning outcomes, those learning objectives that you have. And I'll talk a little bit about objectives in a bit. Okay, I'm going to ask you now, I could do what in a lesson I would go around and give out a number, but you're adults. So I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind just getting into groups of 4, there might be one group of 3, and if you could just you could just kind of put your seats in a circle, it will just make it easier to do this activity. So we had Ofsted that came in last November. 3 years ago, we were a national challenge year. We were facing closure, and our kids were getting 27%. Last August, they had managed to get 72%, including their English and Maths. That's a massive, massive leap. And that was outstanding progress for those students. But you're measured on the progress they make in every single lesson. So if a member of your SLT team or your faculty go in, they'll be making judgments about how you're performing in the class. And I thought this morning it would be good to think, 10, 15 minutes to just look at some of the criteria that are used to distinguish between a good and an outstanding lesson. So in these envelopes, I've got criteria for a good lesson and criteria for an outstanding lesson. And I just want you and your group to just go through and see if you can just kind of decide what the subtle differences are. If you can just make 2 lists, one that you think, yeah, this seems to be the criteria for outstanding, and one the criteria for good. Okay? Just so you can familiarise yourself with the criteria that's used. Right, well, as I say, you might want to use the floor, use another chair. I'll give you like 15 minutes, and then we'll take some feedback. Run through outstanding. So just think about it if you finish. I'll give you about another 5, 10 minutes. I'll just go around this group here. Could you just maybe give me one word or just kind of summarise what was running through an outstanding lesson? What were some of the things that struck you? Good planning.
Well, like excellent planning.
Right. Yeah.
Exceptional.
Absolutely. And it's those very specific things. There is a difference between good planning and excellent or exceptional planning. Absolutely. Yes. Cheers.
Yes.
Please, sir. Thank you. Thanks for that. What about this group here? Anything for you that so continuous assessment. Always just written? So yeah, absolutely. Very often verbal questioning in the classroom is as effective assessment because it informs you, the teacher, to know how well your pupils have got what you're learning. Thank you. Do you want to start in here? Here. Assessment. Effective assessment. Cheers. What about this group? Consistency. Absolutely. You can check the spelling as well. Consistency. Consistency is key. Key to an outstanding lesson. If you'd have moved over to England about 10 or 12 years ago, you were judged on one single lesson. So you were judged as a teacher whether you were good or outstanding on one lesson. Very often, what the clever people would do is they would keep their observation lesson here, to the side. And every time they knew a senior member of staff was coming, they'd pull it out, and it would be all singing, all dancing. Yeah? And, oh yeah, fantastic, outstanding lesson. You can't get away with that anymore, because the key thing is consistency. You've got to demonstrate that in your lessons, primary and secondary, that your pupils are making consistent, outstanding progress to be an outstanding teacher. And that really is what every teacher in England is striving to be. I'm sure here at home it's the same. You will really, that will drive you through your NQT year. That label of outstanding is something that really is, it really does give you that, wow, if somebody goes out and says that was an outstanding lesson, it does give you, and I'm sure you probably had many of those through your training year. What about this group? Anything else? Yeah, constructive feedback and marking. I know lessons that I've gone into, and what we do is when Ofsted come in, we sit with Ofsted and they judge me on my judgment of a lesson. And I had to fail one lesson because the books just weren't marked. So how could that teacher know that the child had made progress in the last lesson or in the last half term if the books hadn't been marked? It is essential. What we do in our school is we get rid of meetings, you'd be glad to know. Every third week we have a no meeting week. And that week is where the teachers just use the additional time they have to mark, because it is absolutely key. Because if you've taught a lesson and your kids, for whatever reason, haven't got it, how can you possibly move on to the next concept or the next stage or the next part of history? They're just going to fall further and further behind. And it's through that effective assessment that will inform you, the teacher, about what you need to do next. Anything else? Yeah. It's about how you've engaged them. So the activities. So what activities has the teacher used? It mentions subject knowledge as well. What did it, the outstanding... Anybody? Subject knowledge, was it mentioned in the outstanding one?
Drawing on excellent.
Yeah. So drawing on excellent subject knowledge. Yeah. So it's not just good, or you really, it's about demonstrating your subject knowledge. Anything else anybody wanted to add, Robin?
That is not just about developing academic abilities, but social skills as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it used to be SMSC, another, one of these things that we were talking last night about. Has teaching in England changed that much? It hasn't. It's done full circle, and it's done it about 3 times in the 15 years. That what was in vogue 15 years ago, it went out of vogue, came back again, and it does that. And so we talk about the social, moral, and spiritual development of pupils. And at the minute it's coming back into vogue. It's about developing them as humans so they go off and leave and become lifelong learners. I heard somebody mentioning independence. Somebody in discussion, somebody was talking about making them independent learners as well. So unfortunately, it's very much, we've got our exam results coming tomorrow. At the minute we're all a little bit nervous about what it brings for the school. But it's it is about playing a game, and it is about getting a certain percentage for the school. But you can never lose sight that it's about the difference that it's making to these young people. I'm sure you'll be working with them who are coming from very socially deprived backgrounds, and the difference those C grades and above in the subject makes to their lives, is phenomenal, really. So it's always about keeping that in mind. Anything else anybody wanted to add? Individual progress, yeah, and again it's through that individual working with the young people throughout the lesson to make sure that they are making progress based on where they're at the beginning of the lesson. You might have, we'll talk about levels in a bit, but if you're teaching a year 7 or 8 class, or you're teaching a year 4 or 5 class, you might have a number of kids working at different levels and different targets that they have to reach by the end of the year. You've got to make sure that your work is pitched for that. And I'll talk a little bit about how you do that, and that's very timely. Thank you, sir. That's very timely because I'm going to stop now, and then what we're going to do after coffee is we're going to talk about this actual activity and how that applies to teaching in the classroom. Okay, so we'll do a little bit about how you actually plan for some of these. Kathy, how long do we have for a break? About
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back here at about 1:45. Yeah. Oh.